Hello, and welcome to this episode of the Best Gundam Models period, where I will show you how to paint a Tyranid Termagant in the colors of Hive Fleet Behemoth. And first, we will start with our prime model. It's prime black with Vallejo black primer, and we will use Citadel Wraithbone over the skin and the weapon. And we'll use a very old medium base brush by Citadel. And I just want to slap this on all over the skin. Doesn't matter if you catch the chitin like I did on the leg, because we'll be painting over that soon. Now this old medium base brush has seen better days and is not good for precise painting, but it's perfect for base coating and will spare damaging any of our nice other base coating brushes, our large brushes, when we jam this into tiny holes. As you can see now, our miniature has been coated with 2 to 3 thin coats of Wraithbone. Some areas looked a little thin, so they got 3 coats. Others were just left at 2. Now it is time to use our Flesh Tearers Red. And we shall put this all over the skin using a Dungeons & Dragons WizKids base brush. It's okay if you're a little sloppy with this paint. You can always tidy up with Wraithbone. Any other colors you need to. Now, when using contrast, you want to go over an area and then leave it so that you don't tear the surface of the paint once it begins to dry. I found that out the hard way. Here's our miniature after that Flesh Tearers Red coat, and now it is time to brighten it up with some dry brushing. First, with Mephiston Red. And for this step, we're using a Citadel medium dry brush, or small dry brush, excuse me. We've now brightened our miniature up with a Mephiston Red dry brush. We'll brighten them up even further with a dry brush of Evil Sunz Scarlet. We'll be using that same small dry brush from Citadel. And here is our miniature after the Evil Sunz Scarlet stage. It's looking a bit brighter. The details are a bit more defined. There's a bit more contrast, but we can up that contrast even further with an edge highlight. Now this is only necessary for larger creatures and special characters like the Winged Tyranid Prime or the Hive Tyrant. But for demonstration's sake, we'll be doing it on this Termagant. We'll be doing an edge highlight with Bestigor Flesh by Citadel. And I'll be using an Artist Opus size 00 brush. There we go. And just want to do it around areas such as these little air holes right here. And cheekbones, jawline. Just any area where you think light would catch, any edge where light would catch. And here is our model after the Bestigor Flesh stage. These edges are nice and stark. There's a lot of contrast with the model. Now it's time to paint the chitin. And for that, we'll start with a base coat of Corvus Black. We could also black in the hooves and claws at this time. And for this stage, we'll be using the Dungeons & Dragons brush. Feel free to switch to a smaller brush for certain areas if you need to. And here is our termagant with those areas blocked in. Our next step is to wash those areas with Citadel Nuln Oil. Any black wash will do, but I like to use Nuln Oil. And we shall apply this all over the chitin, the plates on the gun, the claws, the hooves, and the teeth. Alright, here's what our model will look like after shading. And now it's time to work on the chitin. The color we'll be using is Sotek Green by Citadel. And we'll start by just painting lines on the carapace. We want them kind of close together, and we're using a Citadel small layer brush. It has a very nice point on it. And here is our model after the Sotek Green stage. Our next color is Temple Guard Blue. And we are going to paint some more lines on that carapace, but we will make them shorter and we'll paint fewer of them. And we're still going to use our Citadel small layer brush. Do a little edge highlight. And here is our model after the Temple Guard Blue stage. Our next highlight you don't have to do for termagants or any other horde part of your army, but for special characters and large monsters you'll want to. We're going to use Citadel Baharroth Blue, and we're going to add just a final tiny highlight, just dot it along the edges, and it'll really make that chitin pop. And for this, we're using the Artist Opus size 00 brush, which has a very, very fine point on it. And this is what our model should look like after the Baharroth Blue highlights. The chitin is really popping now. Now, it's time to highlight the claws and hooves. And first round of highlights will be Mechanicus Standard Gray by Citadel. And we shall use our small layer brush now. So for some of these highlights, you can just brush the side of your brush along the edge. It'll make those claws and hooves look nice and sharp. For the hooves, we want to do kind of like with the chitin, just paint small lines. So this is what the claws and hooves should look like after that first round of highlights. And our second round of highlights will just be towards the tips, and we're going to use Dawnstone by Citadel. And we're staying with our small layer brush. And this will just make those claws and hooves look that much sharper. Now that we have finished with the Dawnstone stage, it is time to clean up some areas with Citadel Wraithbone. And those would be in any vents in the legs or arms, and the soft joints, and also the tubes and the gun, the main body of the gun, in preparation for some contrast paints. So I'm going to start with this vent here and just run some Wraithbone right in there. Right in this joint here, we'll also run some Wraithbone. And just keep doing that in these small areas on your model. And then we'll return when the stage is complete. And here is what your model should look like once these areas have been coated with Wraithbone. And now we are going to go over them with Volupus Pink. Straight Volupus Pink by Citadel. Try to avoid the eye on the gun. I also dotted the eyes in with Wraithbone. We're not going to go over those with Volupus Pink. We have a different color. So I'm going to start with the gun. Just getting a nice even coat of Volupus Pink. And this is a very strong color, so you want to be careful not to hit any areas you've already done. And here is what our termagant should look like once that Volupus Pink contrast is dried. Our next step is to highlight it with Citadel Pink Horror. And this will just be a one-stage highlight. We're using a Citadel small layer brush. This will just be a highlight to get the most prominent edges. And here is our termagant with that last highlight stage completed. Our next step will just be to dot the eyes in with Citadel Imperial Fist contrast paint and clean up any areas where we splotched paint. So we just want to dot this in the eye socket, on the eye on the gun. Alright. Once we have finished fixing any areas where we've made mistakes, it'll be time to base our miniature. And here is our final reveal. I hope you found this tutorial informative. I hope you enjoyed it. And I'll see you all next time. Bye.